I'm 9 News Weather Impact Team Meteorologist Chris Spears with an update as we roll through this Monday. We're about halfway through this particular high wind event, but we still have the rest of the day to go. So our headlines remain the same, and that is the high winds continuing for the foothills, the urban corridor, Denver and points east, including the plains. And that means fire danger for the same areas from the foothills to the plains. We are still worried for at least 3 to 6 more hours. If any fires were to start, those flames could move fast simply because of this strong wind. And in the high country, you have the wind too, but you also have blowing snow. So kind of a double whammy if you're traveling in the mountains. A couple of wind gusts. Some of these are from earlier this morning, but so far the biggest gust on the map is near Brainerd Lake, 80 mile per hour. That would be a Category 1 hurricane strength if this were a hurricane. Winter Park, same thing, just a little south of there, a 75 mile per hour gust, and just east of Copper, a 75 mile per hour gust. But most other locations have been in that 50 to 70 mile per hour range. Kremling, Berthoud Pass, out on the plains in Weld County outside of Grover. Lafayette, a 55 mile per hour gust for one of the locations here in the Denver metro area. Showing you some current wind gusts, and up and down the urban corridor, 25 to 45 mile per hour gusts common. Wind ebbs and flows, so you certainly can, be driving along and just this gust hits the side of the car and tugs you from your lane. That happened to me coming down right along the base of the foothills on Interstate 70. So definitely keep a tight grip on the wheel if you're out driving today in the 10 and 2 position, because that wind is strong. The high wind warning covers almost the entire eastern half of the state for locations along and east of the foothills. It's the whole I-25 corridor from Wyoming to New Mexico, out onto the plains, I-70 heading into Kansas. That wind is particularly strong, and we'll zoom into here and just focus a little on I-70 and I-76. It's a northwest wind, so it's a crosswind on these interstates, and there's a lot of loose soil in this part of the state because of the drought in place. So blowing dust is possible in any location to the east of Denver this afternoon. Fire weather warnings continue. All of the highlighted areas, it's most of the eastern plains except our far northeastern corner. Sustained winds northwest 30 to 45, gusts 60 or higher. We're already seeing that, and we have very low relative humidity, and that's kind of the key player in what's driving the fire danger outside of the wind. It's the combination of the two. This red flag warning will go through sunset, so a few more hours to go where we really need to pay attention to conditions. If you see smoke, it would be best to report it just to be safe. In the high country, winter weather alerts continue through early evening. Not so much for snow. You will have a little bit of additional accumulation, but in most areas it would be 2, 3, 4 inches, maybe 5 on some of those passes around Steamboat Springs. But the travel advisories are primarily in effect because of the wind. A lot of blowing snow. Been looking at cameras across the high country, and there's a lot of slow travel in north central and northern Colorado today. So if possible, I would avoid heading into the high country. This is what's causing all of this. We have a very strong jet stream overhead off to our northeast. There's an area of low pressure wrapping up in the plains. We're kind of getting some wind on the backside of this low, and that's the combination of the two really driving the wind speed. So now through 6 o'clock, we'll continue to see widespread 20 to 40 mile per hour gusts. At times, they may be higher, especially in and near the foothills. Watch the map here. After 6 o'clock, a very noticeable decrease in the wind speeds along the Front Range. The wind will not just magically stop, but we will definitely see a pretty big relaxation in the gradient, if you will, across the Front Range. Still a little breezy in the foothills, and the northeastern plains, you're closest to the low, so it'll take longer for your wind speeds to come down. But overnight, we should even see that. So just a few more hours to go in terms of this really constant nonstop wind, and then after 6 o'clock and especially after midnight, conditions will improve. Here's your Futurecast. So blowing snow and snow showers will continue in the mountains through about sunset. After 6 o'clock, blowing snow will be an issue, but falling new snow will rapidly come to an end as drier air comes in behind the departing storm system. And really, Tuesday looks pretty quiet across the state, a quiet ending to the year after a very busy weather day. We'll zoom into the Front Range and run this Futurecast for you just so you can see. If you do travel west into the high country, you'll have some snow showers and blowing snow through sunset. After sunset, new snow should start to taper off, but blowing snow may continue for a few more hours. A little bit of cloud cover overnight up there. And as we roll into your Tuesday, much quieter across the mountains too. So that would be a much better day to do any travel that you may have. Avalanche warnings are in effect for most all mountain zones north of Highway 50. So that would be basically all of our central and northern mountain locations. We have just a tremendous recipe for potential avalanches with a combination of old weak snowpack, new wind-loaded snow, and continued gusty wind in the high country. The backcountry is just not the place to be. It's chilly across the state today with that wind. Even in southeastern Colorado, your numbers look comfortable, 50s, but it's quite windy. So a little bit of a chill in the air, but most locations along and east of the foothills above freezing. We've got teens, 20s, and 30s in the high country for today. In Denver, very windy with continued fire danger. We'll top off somewhere around 49 or 50 degrees tonight. Much colder. Those winds will relax. Mountain snow will end. We're down to around 20 or so for a low with some partial overnight clearing. And tomorrow we're wrapping up the year with some of the coldest temperatures we've seen in several days. Only 38 in Denver, 42 for your New Year's Day. It looks like we do warm it up a little bit as we approach the upcoming weekend. Potentially late in the upcoming weekend, a new weather system will come into the picture, and we'll have something new to talk about in terms of the weather. But as we wrap up 2024, a few more hours of this very strong wind to go. It will relax overnight, and we'll have a much quieter day tomorrow. We'll have the latest on all of the wind and associated weather stories on 9 News at 3.